Hi, Weirdos. It's Thursday. My name is Sarah, and I am joined, as always, by...
I'm Mackenzie.
I'm Chris.
And this podcast is for Weirdos.
Sarah, what are we talking about today?
What are we doing? We're diving into kind of a surprisingly big topic. Chris hit us with scrying mirrors last time that we recorded. In fact, I think it was last week when this comes out with scrying mirrors.
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so we were like, oh, we should do some more like divinatory kind of things. And so I decided to dive into tarot. Because I like tarot. Chris likes tarot. Mackenzie likes tarot. Mackenzie likes having her tarot done. She doesn't have any tarot decks.
Yes.
But
I have an oracle deck.
You have an oracle deck, right. And there is a difference between oracle and tarot decks. I'm not talking about oracle decks at all today. The history of tarot and how it became a divinatory thing and all of that is too big of a topic for me to also be like, and also there are oracle cards, which are a whole different beast. So we're talking specifically about tarot. We'll show some decks that we've got at the end, but the first thing that I want to do is before I even start talking, I am going to pull cards to do a reading for the episode. I'm going to show the cards to the camera, and then we won't talk about what it means until the end. Okay, that sound cool?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to we'll talk a lot more about this deck later. I'm going to be using the like classic tarot deck that everybody knows. It's the yellow box, the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, because it's the most normal deck that I have.
Yeah, don't pull from the other deck.
It's the classic deck.
It's the classic deck. Like, I got this because
It's like your Tarot 101
Yeah.
deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we will talk a lot about it at the end. Cause,
While you're
like,
pulling, do you want us to talk about what we know?
Yeah, tell me what you know about tarot
Okay.
while I'm shuffling.
So I accidentally... in the weeks leading up to like us doing a podcast retreat, I will listen to our episodes just to as like a proofing thing after they come out, and to like be like, did it all come out the way we were hoping it did, kind of thing. Obviously, anything major, Sarah tells us about ahead of time. But anyway, I was listening to Greg and Dana's The Haunted Object podcast, which is one of our group's personal favorite. Like, it's something that all three of us also, like, all of us all listen to. And I happened to pick up where I left off in their like playlist
Right.
of episodes, which was the tarot episode that they did.
Great episode. You should listen to it.
Which
Dana knows a lot more than I do.
Dana does a wonderful job.
Dana's been a practicing witch her entire life. She knows a lot more about doing tarot than I do.
Yeah.
But I a lot of what they went over without, I mean, besides like Dana's amazing knowledge of interpretations of cards and things like that, I did know quite a bit just based on like knowledge over the years that we've gathered about, you know, the history of tarot. Now that I've had my tarot read, I think I was blinded by the kind of misconceptions around tarot and fortune telling for a long time. So anyway, I don't know. I wouldn't say that I'm an expert in any way, shape, or form, but I have heard tarot information recently. And we talked about tarot in our, we had our tarot, Chris and I had our tarot read in Harrison when we did our seance side quest.
Right.
So that was an interesting read, since that did include both tarot and oracle cards. It's probably the largest spread reading that I've ever had, as far as like in terms of the number of cards that were used in that pull.
I only pulled 3.
Right.
A
standard pull is like a 3-card pull is a very common
Easiest.
tarot pull. But I think that one had like, I don't know, 12 or 15
Wow.
cards. Like I had a lot of cards that were pulled in that spread. So I wouldn't say I know a ton. I would say I'm very like beginner 101 in my level of understanding of tarot. And the only time I've ever pulled tarot was in this house, and I didn't know what I was doing, and it was a deck I probably should not have been. That should not have been the deck I pulled my first tarot pull with. We'll talk about that deck later.
It's my baby.
But
I love that deck. It is not a deck to do like a normal tarot interpretation from. It is definitely one where you're like, I want answers and I want them to be mean.
yeah,
I want it to hurt my
I
feelings.
want it to hurt my feelings. I think it's really funny. Chris gets read for filth every single time we do tarot, to the point where we were at a LARP last week,
Yeah.
or like 2 weeks ago, and one of our players was pulling tarot in character, but was like, if you'd like to call for your friend back home, as in like yourself. They were like, I do very, very basic tarot interpretations, but like, let me see what I can do for you, kind
Right.
of thing. Not for any kind of real money, not anything like that. And Christopher still got
Got
read for filth, to the point where I looked, Sarah's across like an opening from me, and I was like, you have to come here right now.
Yeah.
And Sarah goes, Christopher getting, I was like, read for filth.
I can't not get read for filth.
Yeah.
The cards see everything about me and go,
Yeah. The
All
cards.
right,
The cards are
your
like.
turn.
The cards are like. I'm going to show your whole ass.
yeah.
What do you know?
I know a good beginner's amount.
Yeah.
I've been doing tarot for a little bit, not consistently.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't have my cards memorized.
Yeah.
I own
I don't either.
2 different decks. There. And I have some practice, and the times that I have read other people, read them for filth.
Yeah.
Like, one of my dear friends was having a sleepover at my house, and he was like, I don't think it has anything to it. And
Yeah.
I said, great,
Let's do it.
let's do it. Let me sit down and I'll pull cards for you. And so I went through a 3-card spread with him, just a past, present, future.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, how did you know that?
Yeah. You hurt. Hey. Hang
Like,
on.
it was like Harrison getting his feelings hurt. in
Yeah.
his first-
Yeah.
and he
Harrison's
was
the
like,
same way, where he's like, I don't put any stock into it, and then he was like, hang on.
Hang on a second.
Hang on a second.
But so I don't have a whole ton of the history. I know a little bits and pieces about the history.
Yeah. Don't worry, you'll know more than you probably want to by
I'm
the end of this
so excited.
episode.
Um,
I'm gonna set my decks back.
but I have like
My babies.
beginner to like lowest intermediate level of like knowledge
Yeah.
with tarot.
Okay. Well, the first thing we're gonna talk about is I'm gonna show you the cards that I pulled,
Excellent.
and then we're gonna forget about them,
Okay.
and we're gonna meditate on them a little bit, and then we'll come back to what they mean at the end.
Okay.
So the way that I do tarot, the way that I think you also do tarot this way, is the way that Dana of the New Kirks does tarot, which is the expression, whatever falls to the floor comes to your door. So I just shuffle until something falls out of the deck. And then I do that for as many times as I need. And then once I do the reading, I'm like, this doesn't really make sense, I will pull an additional card for clarity. So what we had 2 cards that fell out together and hit me in the foot. Like, they fully fell out when I was just shuffling. And so we have the Hermit reversed.
Oh.
And the King of Pentacles also reversed. And they came out together. And they were stacked like that. So I'm doing that as 1, 2. And then the last card is the 4 of Wands. So you got that one. Upright. So we'll talk about what that means at the end. We'll do a little interpretation. And I'm also not like super well versed in interpreting the meanings or like knowing the meanings of the cards. I do have to look at the reference book, but I really like being able to go like, oh, this means this, this means this, this means this. Together, I can interpret that means this as one complete thing.
Right.
So first, we're going to talk about where the fuck these cards come from.
Excellent.
So tarot cards, originally known as tarocchi,
Ooh.
first appeared in Ferrara and Milan in northern Italy with the Fool and 21 Trumps, then called Trionfi, being added to the standard Italian pack of 4 suits. So they had a standard deck of cards, and then and their suits were batons, cups, coins, and swords. So similar to what we've got now in the tarot. That's a couple differences. It was established that early playing cards were probably based on the Egyptian Mamluk deck, invented in or before the 14th century, which followed the introduction of paper from Asia into Western Europe. So, like, we start getting paper we start getting the ability to make cards. We're going to start making cards.
Mm-hmm.
By the late 1300s, Europeans were producing their own cards, the earliest patterns being based on that Egyptian deck, but with variations of the court cards and that kind of stuff that were images that would be more suited to a European audience versus an Egyptian audience. So these first playing cards ever in Europe are from 1367 in Bern, and they spread very rapidly across Europe. Europe was like, gambling? I'm in.
So it's a gambling game?
Yeah. So like most card games now are like some form of gambling. Like poker is boring if you're not betting money.
Yeah.
Well, betting something.
Yeah, betting something. Like if you're not betting.
If you're not gambling.
If you're not gambling, poker is boring. And so these were a game of gambling.
Okay.
So these original cards, we don't really know what they looked like. Do you have a question?
I have a very basic statement.
What's up?
My
eyes are itchy.
I'm sorry.
I'm
weren't these cards, if I remember other history correctly, these cards were often in wealthier people's hands because they're all hand painted.
Yeah, we'll
and
get to
therefore
that. Yeah.
like
Ooh.
harder to come by in the original like spread of cards across like Asia into Europe.
Yeah,
so on and so forth.
we'll talk about that
Okay.
in a minute.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Like it is a good question, and it is true. Like in this like early 1300s, like mid 1300s time, these were wealthy people because they were handmade cards. We didn't have the printing press yet. We didn't have the ability to make widespread stuff. So first documented tarot decks were recorded between 1440 and 1450 in Milan, Ferrara, Florence, and Bologna, when these additional trump cards were added to the common four-suit pack, like I already said.
Got it.
These new decks were called Carta dei Trionfi, triumph cards. And the additional cards were simply known as Trionfi, triumphs, which became trumps in English. The earliest documentation...
where that came from for a long time, actually.
The trump cards.
Trump cards
Trump
from
cards.
this. So the earliest documentation of that word, trionfi, is found in a written statement in a court record in Florence in 1440 regarding the transfer of two decks to this other person. Because again, these were expensive things to be holding on to. The oldest surviving tarot cards are the 15 or so decks of the Visconti Sforza tarot, which were painted in the mid-15th century for the rulers of the Duchy of Milan.
Ooh, cool.
So, like, again, these are high-powered people who have these...
They're duchies.
They are important.
And usually they're really pretty, like ornate blues.
Yeah,
and
that deck is really pretty. We'll have a picture of... I think I have a picture of that one. We'll have a picture of a bunch of these, like, old decks that I'm going to talk about. We'll have at least a couple of pictures on the Instagram.
But they're very well... Like, they're very brightly colored.
They're very brightly colored. Some of them are painted on gold foil.
Like they're super
very
bougie.
fancy.
They're very, very fancy cards. Especially even like today, if you were to have a deck hand painted like that,
deck, yeah.
They're very expensive.
Yeah. So the spread, because obviously this started kind of in Italy, and then it's going to spread elsewhere through Europe, right? So these earliest decks were hand painted, like we said. The number of them produced is thought to have been really small because they're hand painted. It was only after the invention of the printing press that mass production became possible. So that is kind of when we have this expansion outside of Italy, is once we have the printing press.
And it's a 52 card deck still, isn't it?
78, because it has all the
78.
trumps.
Ah, right.
So
So
it's
you're
got
talking about 78
cards.
hand-painted cards at any given point in
Because
that history.
each suit has 4 face cards and then the 10
number
the 10
cards.
pip cards, and then there are 22 trump cards if you include the fool, because he's not numbered but he is part of those. So after we start expanding, we go to France and then to Switzerland, which occurred during the Italian Wars, which were wars that took place in those nations, so it was easy for these Italians to leave their cards behind. The most prominent tarot deck used in those two countries was the Tarot of Marseille, which is one of the most popular tarot decks for divination now, still. So it is, of the decks that are used for divinatory purposes, it is the only one that actually originated as the game deck, not as a divination deck. Because like the ones that we have were made specifically for divination purposes. These were made to play cards.
And then people chose.
And then people chose... We'll talk about how it became a thing later. So, the name and number of trumps was consistent throughout these decks, but their order varied. So like the numbered order was different. And that happened as early as the 1440s because we've got these hand-painted cards still. And so they're changing what they are. There's kind of 3 categories that this guy, Michael Dumais, it's either Dumais or Dummett. We're going to say Dumais because that sounds
I think
fancier.
it's Dumais.
Is it D-U-M-A-T?
It's got 2 T's at the end.
It could be Dumont.
Could be Dumont.
We're going to call him Michael.
Okay.
Okay.
So Michael placed these. He wrote a big article about these, about tarot. So he kind of placed these original decks into 3 different categories. In Bologna and Florence, the highest trump card is the Angel, followed by the World. So the Angel is not one that we have anymore in our decks. This group spread mainly southward through the Papal States, the Kingdom of Naples, and finally down into Sicily, but was also known in the Savoyard states. In Ferrara, the World was the highest, followed by Justice and then the Angel. This group spread mainly to the northwest, to Venice and Trento, where it was only a passing fad. So this version did not last very long. And then by the end of the 16th century, that order became completely extinct. So the World, followed by Justice and the Angel, was gone by the 16th century. Did not last very long. 1500 came around and they were like, we don't care anymore. In Milan, the World was the highest, followed by the Angel. This order is used in the Tarot of Marseille. He also wrote about a possible 4th lineage that may have existed along the Franco-Italian border, but it didn't last for very long, so he was like, we're not going to talk too much about it. In Florence, an expanded deck was later used. This deck had 97 cards and includes astrological symbols and the 4 elements, as well as the traditional tarot motifs.
Ooh, that's fun.
So that one's really cool, and the earliest known mention of that version is from 1506. So it's like still pretty early in the game. They're like, what if we futz with it a little bit?
What if we play with it?
So we're going to talk a little bit about the different culture versions of these decks because it was very like regional what your deck looked like. Sorry for aggressively throwing myself while I was talking. So like, again, it started in Italy. You'd think that that's what they were all going to be like, is whatever Italy had. But each kind of culture came up with their own version. So Italian suited decks were first devised, again, in the 15th century, like we talked about. And there are 3 decks of this category still used to play certain games. Because in a lot of European countries, tarot decks exist as a gaming deck in Europe. They're not a divinatory thing over there. I mean, they are, but that's not their primary function. Whereas we think of them exclusively as a divinatory thing. We don't know the rules to this game.
No.
Over there, it is still very much a card game, like poker.
Whoa.
Texas Hold'em.
That's
Blackjack.
cool.
Tarot.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'd love to know
What the rules are?
how to play
how to play
tarot.
it. Right.
Like
we could play. We have decks that we could play this game with.
We have plenty of decks.
Yeah, I don't
sitting
know.
around.
I mean, I think it would be interesting because the intention with all of the decks that we possess
Is not to do that?
Is not to do that.
I think it would be fun.
I think it would be very fun.
I
Teach
think-
them a lesson a little bit.
I think both of my decks would get pissed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I
I
feel
think
like
the only one that we could do it with would be the
Yeah.
the Rider Waite.
Smith one. Yeah.
because the one that your other deck,
my other one we can't play with. It has too many cards.
it has too many
That
cards
too.
and it has opinions.
It does have opinions. So there's
It's rude.
It's rude.
There's 3 different versions of these decks in Italy. There's the Tarocco Piemontese, the Swiss 1JJ Tarot, and the Tarocco Bolognese. And so
Bolognese.
yeah, Bolognese.
Does it have
Spaghetti?
pastas?
No.
Is it pasta art? That would be a fun. I want that tarot deck.
So they each have something kind of interesting about them. So that first one, the Tarocco Piemontese, has the regular 4 suits that were used to swords, batons, cups, and coins, and is still headed by a king and queen. But instead of a knight and a page, it has a cavalier and a jack.
Cavalier.
Yeah. And then the Swiss one replaces, so also at this point, there are some characters that are not in our deck. There is not an emperor and an empress. There is a pope and a popess.
Popess.
Popess in the original deck. And in the Swiss one, it replaces the pope with Jupiter, the popess with Juno, and the angel with judgment. So it changes a couple of things. It gets a little less Christian religious.
Sure.
And then the Tarocco Bolognese takes out 2 through 5 in the pip decks. So it's ace, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, which
Huh.
is actually a common thing in some German decks. So they only play with 6 through 10. And
My
the ace.
brain keeps
Huh.
trying to replace the cups, swords, batons, that stuff with pasta shapes for the bolognese deck.
For the Bolognese deck.
And mostly,
So, like-
it's like spaghetti and
Shells, spaghetti,
and like
penne.
tortellini for or for like cups or coins, and like maybe I don't know, the little orchettis that are the little round like discs, and then I'm like, where would meat sauce? Like somebody has like Nona's pot of sauce. Like one of them is
That's the world.
A gnocchi would be a good
A
one.
gnocchi would be a good one.
The world is
Sorry,
the pasta pot.
it was very stupid, but my
no,
brain,
that's not stupid. That's hilarious.
I
was
like
like-
this.
I
Can
was
we?
like-
I
I was like, can somebody design me a pasta tarot deck? And that's the only deck I will ever use.
tpifw
Amazing.
tpifw
branded pasta
Pasta
tarot
deck.
deck.
Pasta tarot. Hell
Pasta
yeah.
tarot.
Pasta tarot. So back to cultures.
Sorry.
We have the Italo-Portuguese suited decks.
Ooh.
The Torocco Siciliano is the only deck to use the so-called Portuguese suit system, which uses Spanish pips but intercedes them like Italian pips. It's like, we're not going to get too into it. It's weird. It's confusing.
Okay.
Some of the trumps are different. It omits the 2 and 3 of coins, and then 1 through 4 are gone in clubs, swords, and cups. So it's missing a bunch of random ones on purpose, and that's all we're going to talk about, the Italo-Portuguese deck.
Okay.
We don't care about it. Then we have French suited decks, which we're only going to talk about specifically because it spawned a lot of really cool stuff, including our card suits.
Oh.
So clubs, diamonds, hearts, and spades comes from French Italian, comes from French tarot decks. With the exception of specific novelty decks, French suited tarot are almost exclusively used for card games because they're what we think of as normal playing cards.
Yeah.
But they do still have those 22 trump cards.
Okay.
They are a couple of different things. A lot of them are animals instead of what we think of as these like kind of higher power sort of things. They're more often associated with animals.
Animals.
So yeah. And then we've got a couple of specific ones. We have the Industrie und Glück, which is diligence and fortune. And it's for some reason in French and German in the name. That one was designed in Central Europe, but was used a lot in France. It's one of the ones that has those specific red and black colors.
Mm.
Then we have the Tarot Nouveau, also called the Tarot Bourgeois.
I was like, why are you pausing?
Excellent.
Because that word is just...
Bourgeois.
I keep wanting to be like, it's not the bourgeoisie. It's just bourgeois.
Bourgeois.
Which is a 78 card pack, just like all the other ones. And it was designed in Denmark, weirdly enough. And then we have the Schmid Kago, which I'm including this one because it has really, really pretty art, and we have a picture of it.
Excellent.
So we're going to include that one. Why is it called that? Why is it called tarot?
Yeah.
Where does that come from?
Why?
So the word tarot and the German tarot derive from the Italian tarocchi, which we don't know where that comes from.
Okay.
Although tarot, Taroch, was used as a synonym for foolishness in the late 15th and early 16th century, and the fool is kind of the main character of these decks. People kind of were like, maybe it's from that. These decks were originally exclusively known as Triomphe, like we've talked about a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because of these trump cards, these triumph cards. The new name appeared in Brescia around 1502 as Tarocco. During the 16th century, a new game played with a standard deck but sharing a very similar name, Trionfa, with an A instead of an I, was quickly becoming popular. This coincided with the older game being renamed Tarocchi. So it's kind of like, it was called Triomphe. We talked about like tarot being used as a synonym for foolishness. We're just going to rename our game Tarocchi, and then English was like, tarot?
Tarot.
Tarot with a T on the end? So, who knows? Which is the answer to a lot of this, is who knows?
Linguistics is weird. man.
Linguistics is weird. Okay. Are we happy? Are we
Yeah.
comfortable?
Yeah.
Great, because now we're going to talk about fortune telling.
Ooh.
So, in a lot of English-speaking countries, tarot trick-taking games are not widely played, right? Like we don't know how to play this card game,
No.
and so tarot decks are specifically designed to be used for cartomancy. Now, cartomancy, mancy meaning any sort of divination practice, right? Really, it's any kind of magic practice is mancy. Cartomancy specifically is using cards to tell the future or glean some insight. Now we have defined that word because I was like, I forgot to put in my notes to define that, and I just was like, bing. The early French occultists who started using these decks for cartomancy claimed that tarot cards had esoteric links to ancient Egypt, the Kabbalah, the Indic Tantra, etc., which have been frequently repeated by other authors on card divination. There is no evidence of that. The tarot cards originated in the 15th century in Italy as a playing card deck. Now, they were based on an Egyptian playing card deck, but they were based on an Egyptian playing card deck from the mid-15th century, not from ancient Egypt. Like, these were Italians copying their contemporary Egyptians and making tarot cards. So the original symbolism of these decks has no basis in anything. And I want everyone to wrap your head around that. Great? Good? Okay.
Good.
Great. We're going to talk about, like, I believe that tarot, like, can tell you a lot about yourself? Yeah. It's not based in, like, it's based in stuff now. The original tarot decks were not based in shit. They were just a deck of cards.
Mm.
So Michael, the guy from earlier, whose last name I don't know how to say, described the tarot pack as the subject of the most successful propaganda campaign ever launched. An entire false history and false interpretation of the tarot pack was concocted by the occultists, and it is all but universally believed. So, like, people, especially in Western countries where we're like, or like English-speaking countries where we
Capital
don't have this
W
game.
Western.
Yeah, capital W Western. Like, where we don't have this as a game, we're like, no, they're ancient. They're ancient divinatory things. Like, they've been around forever. And it's like, no, bro, somebody's...
It's been around for like 500 years.
Yeah.
Which, like, is a long time.
Somebody's Nona was playing this game, and that was it.
Yeah.
So now we're going to talk about some specific people who, like, kind of led to divination being done. So first, we have Antoine Coeur de Gabelin, who you know because he was talked about in the Haunted Object podcast. He was a French clergyman who wrote that after seeing a group of women playing cards, he had the idea that tarot was not merely a game of cards, but in fact of ancient Egyptian origin, of mystical Kabbalistic import, and of deep divine significance. Oh. So he watched some women play cards and saw God, I guess, and was like, there's more to this.
It's the same way women gossiping and stuff is all witchcraft. Like,
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's a man of God going, I don't understand how they're coexisting and not killing each other.
But what's crazy
They're doing
is,
magic.
like,
magic.
He did, but then he was like, but I'm into it.
Well, yeah, because he didn't listen.
Like, he was like, I'm into this. And so he published a dissertation on the origins of the symbolism in tarot
That's so
in
funny.
1781.
Good Lord.
He believed that the tarot represented ancient Egyptian theology, including Isis, Osiris, and Typhon. He thought that the card he knew as the Popesse, and known in occult circles today as the High Priestess, represented Isis. He also related the 4 tarot cards suits to the 4 Christian cardinal virtues: temperance, justice, strength, and prudence. He related the tower to a Greek fable about avarice. So he's like all in.
He has subscribed all of the meanings.
Yeah,
Well, and
he
what's-
watched these women play cards, saw God, and went, I'm into this.
Well, and it's interesting because if I remember correctly, not only was like the original cards from the Egyptian area, but also like Turkey and, you know,
Yeah.
that whole Middle Eastern area, region. And so it's just interesting that he went, these Egyptian gods,
Egyptian God.
me, a French clergyman,
Me, a French clergyman.
the Egyptian gods are here.
Let's talk about Egypt.
Like, that's a very interesting, like,
Yeah.
let me take away some of these like Christian
Yeah,
ties.
let me take away the Pope ass.
the Pope-S and these other Christian
And put in-
ties
Put
and
Egypt back in.
put it back to this polytheistic
right. Ancient
ancient
Egypt.
Egypt.
It's just
Egypt.
a very like
It's very funny.
because Greg and Dana talk about it too, and in this like they're also like this is I don't understand.
It's so silly.
It's so silly, goofy.
So now we have the first to assign divinatory meanings to the tarot cards. So that guy was just like ancient symbols,
Sure.
right? That guy was an ancient aliens theorist. This guy,
He's the History Channel.
yeah, he's the History Channel. This guy is an occultist. So his name is Jean-Baptiste Aliette. He is also known as Attila from 1783. Attila is his like magician name.
Yeah.
So
Jean-Baptiste.
according to Michael from earlier, this guy devised a method of tarot divination in 1873. Nope, 1783.
There we go.
100 years before that. Wrote a cartomantic treatise of the tarot as the Book of Thoth. Created the first society for tarot cartomancy. Cartomancy? Now I don't know how to say that fucking word. I've said it 75 times.
Cartomancy.
Thank you. Created the first corrected tarot, supposedly fixing errors that resulted from misinterpretation and corruptions through the mists of antiquity. Created the first Egyptian tarot to be used exclusively for cartomancy, and then published under the imprint of his society the dictionary of the tarot that systematically tabulated the possible meanings of each card. He also suggested that tarot was a repository of wisdom of Hermes,
Ooh.
Interesting.
a book
like
of
that.
eternal medicine,
Okay.
an account of the creation of the world,
Okay.
and argued that the first copy of the tarot was imprinted on leaves of gold, which is not true.
I was like, that doesn't feel true.
Michael wrote this book, The Game of Tarot, in 1980, and he suggested that Atelier was attempting to supplant Ghibelline as the author of the occult tarot, and he claimed to have been involved with the tarot longer than Ghibelline. He was like, I've been doing this longer than him, because they're like 2 years apart in when they're doing their stuff.
I see.
So now we have a woman who
A
comes
woman.
on the scene. We have Mademoiselle Marie Anne Adelaide Lenormand. What's up?
Isn't she the one that drew the Rider-Waite
No,
deck?
that's a different lady.
Okay.
This is still earlier.
Okay, got it.
This is like end of the 1700s, early 1800s.
Understood.
So Lenormand outshone even Atelier and was the first cartomancer to people in high places. So she was the personal confidant of Empress Josephine, Napoleon, and other notables in France. She used both regular playing cards, in particular the Piquet pack, as well as tarot cards likely derived from the Tarot de Marseille. Following her death in 1843, several different decks were published in her name, including the Grand Jeu de Mademoiselle Lenormand, based on a standard 52-card deck, so like a normal playing card deck. And that was first published in 1845. So she has a couple of different decks in her name, but she didn't actually have a hand in making them. So if you're buying a Lenormand deck, she didn't make that. Someone made it in honor of her after her death.
Fascinating.
So she's very cool. I just like it because it's like a woman.
a woman.
A woman is present. So then we have Elphius Levi, who he was like, again, we're like building on this idea, right? We have the first guy who's like, wow, those women playing cards were really something. I wonder if God's involved. And then he's like, maybe it's not my God. Maybe it's Egypt. And then the next guy is like, what if there's a meaning here? And the next guy was like, I'm here. Fuck off. I have important things to say.
I have a better meaning.
And then she's like, what if I read Napoleon's tarot? And now we have Levi. So the concept of the cards as like a mystical key was further pushed by Levi, whose actual name was Alphonse Louis Constant, because nobody in this fucking story uses their actual goddamn name. Except for Ghibelline, who is Antoine Coeur de Ghibelline. He's the only one who goes by his name.
Dear God.
So he was educated in the seminary of Saint Sulpice,
Fuck you.
and he was ordained as a deacon, but never became a priest. So Michael, our boy who wrote the book, noted that it is from Levi's book Dogme et Ritual, that the whole of the modern occultist movement stems.
Ooh.
So Levi's magical theory was based on the concept he called the astral light, and according to Michael, he claimed to be the first to, quote, have discovered intact and still unknown this key of all doctrines and all philosophies of the old world. Without the tarot, he tells us, the magic of the ancients is a closed book. So again, continuing this, like, it's an ancient, important document, and I've unlocked it.
It feels very a la Fox Sisters
Oh, yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah. So here's the thing is everybody is buying the person before them's bullshit.
Right.
Is what's
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, because he's like, 100% Gabeline is right. This has Egyptian origins. But this guy's like, actually, Atelia's interpretation is wrong. The Tarot de Marseille is the better version. He called it the Book of Hermes and claimed that it was antique, existed before Moses, and was in fact a, quote, universal key of erudition, philosophy, and magic that could unlock Hermetic and Kabbalistic concepts. So we've got, everyone's hanging out in the same space, but being like, actually, your opinion's bad. We're going back to that, guys.
Yeah.
Actually,
Actually, I've come up with a new, better idea, and I'm adding on to some other guy's bullshit.
Yeah, I'm getting rid of his idea, but taking that guy's idea is basically how this is going. According to Levi, an imprisoned person with no other book than the tarot, if he knew how to use it, could in a few years acquire universal knowledge and would be able to speak on all subjects with unequaled learning and inexhaustible eloquence.
That's a take.
Sure.
So that's that guy.
That guy.
Now
I don't know if I agree with him.
we get in to the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn and its heirs. So the late 1880s not only saw the spread of occult tarot into France, but also its initial, the opposite of final, adoption in the English-speaking world. So everything else that we've kind of had is like Italy and France. And now we're like, what about the English guys? And they're here now. So Arthur Edward Waite, you may recognize that name. I've said it many times. Published The Mysteries of Magic, a selection of Levi's writings translated by Waite, and the first significant treatment of the occult tarot to be published in English. So that's how we get that. But it was only through the establishment of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn that occult tarot was established in the English-speaking world. So we had this book before that, and then they established this order, and that's how it's like tarot goes kaboom in the English-speaking world. Yeah. So the three founding members of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, which I'm just going to call the Golden Dawn from now on because it's so many fucking words.
Yeah.
And that's what it's also referred to as. So Samuel Little Mathers and William Wynne Westcott published texts relating to the tarot prior to founding the order. So they were already like all in this business. And then they were like, what if we made a group? What if we made a fraternal order? A brotherhood?
What
a
if we made a
secret
club?
society? What if we made a club?
Like everybody in that era.
Right, literally, it's the 1880s and everybody wants to be in a club. So
It's like now. Everybody wants a podcast.
everybody wants a podcast.
We just jumped on the
everybody
train.
and their dog is a podcast. So the tarot was mentioned explicitly in the cipher manuscripts that served as the founding documents for this order, both implicitly and in the form of a separate essay accompanying the manuscript. So it's like, tarot is important. The essay was to serve as the basis for most of the tarot interpretations by the Golden Dawn and its immediate successors, including such features as the following. Placing the fool before the other 21 trumps when determining the correspondence of the major arcana to the Hebrew alphabet. Because they do a lot of Kabbalah. So they do a lot of like putting stuff in with the Hebrew alphabet and doing stuff based on Jewish text and that kind of stuff. So attributing the Hebrew alphabet correspondences to the pathways in the tree of life, swapping positions of justice and strength in the trumps, and then reassigning Kabbalistic planetary associations with these reordered cards. They also renamed the suits of batons and coins to wands and pentacles, which is what we know them as. They also, instead of having knight and page, they have prince and princess. So they have king, queen, prince, princess in their original decks. So that's where our decks differ because ours go back to the
Page.
king,
and
queen, knight, page. And then they associated each of the cards with a astrological symbol as well. So they added
Interesting.
more symbolism to the cards. Okay, now we're going to talk about common tarot decks, and we'll talk about each of our decks at the end of this section before we go on to the what divination is and how you do it. So the three most common esoteric decks are the Tarot of Marseille, which again was designed as a playing card pack, the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot, and the Thoth Tarot. So I will talk about each of those individually in that order. So the Tarot of Marseille is a standard pattern of Italian suit tarot pack with 78 cards that was popular in France in the 17th and 18th century for playing card games and is still used in Europe as a playing card pack. It is also used as a divination deck in the English-speaking world. It's very pretty. And you can buy that deck in America as a divinatory deck. I will have pictures of that one. It's so pretty. Then we have the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, which is a lot of names. It was first published in 1909 based on instructions by the academic and mystic A.E. Waite, you know, the guy in the Golden Dawn, and Pamela Coleman Smith. So Pamela Coleman Smith is the one who did all of the art for this, and she and Waite together kind of came up with what the cards are supposed to mean and what they are supposed to, how you're supposed to feel looking at them. They put all the very specific symbolism in them together, but she did all of the art. It is also called the Waite-Smith deck or the Rider Tarot. I will always call it the Rider-Waite-Smith deck or just the Waite-Smith deck. Rider is just the name of the publisher. So realistically, I'm a little annoyed that mine just says the Rider Tarot on it. All that guy did was put it on paper.
Or a lot of times, like, if it's not, a lot of times it'll be the Rider-Waite Tarot.
Rider-Waite. Like, it will exclude Pamela Coleman Smith,
Which is
who did the art.
awful. And also,
Like, we wouldn't have this without her.
yeah.
Which is also, like, she was included because she's a woman, yada, yada, yada. This is the most popular tarot deck bought today. Like, it is the beginner deck. Like, everybody buys it. It's actually kind of interesting because a lot of the art in the modern versions of the deck is a lower quality printing of the original artwork, and so some of the symbolism is lost, but it's all still there. It's just the intensity of it is gone and that kind of stuff.
And it's easier to misinterpret a meaning because you've lost some of the artistic symbology.
Right. Which we'll talk about on one specific card that I know in my brain. So when this was published originally, it came with a guidebook that had what the interpretations were supposed to be, how you're supposed to read it, all that kind of stuff. And it was a little bit more in depth than what you get now because it told you each individual symbol on the card and why it was included. Now you get kind of an overview of what it means when you buy it because it was purchased by a game company in 2009 and they started reprinting it. And that was when they added back Smith's name into the deck, which I really appreciate. That's an American company. They went, this woman needs to be recognized. And that deck was called the Smith-Waite Centennial deck. So they completely erased Rider from it because he wasn't publishing it anymore. They were.
Fucked.
So that's the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. And then we have the Thoth Tarot, which is an esoteric deck painted by Lady Frida Harris for Aleister Crowley. So he referred to this deck as the Book of Thoth and wrote a 1944 book of that title intended for use with the deck. He originally intended it to be a 6-month project aimed at updating the traditional pictorial system for the tarot. However, due to increased scope, the project spanned to 5 years between 1938 and 1943. You good, brother?
Yeah, I'm looking for the artist of my deck.
Oh, okay.
My deck, or the more important of my two decks.
Gotcha. So The illustrations on the deck feature symbolism based on Crowley's interpretations of imagery from many disparate disciplines, including science and philosophy and various occult systems. So whereas most of the decks you're going to buy are going to be like one kind of meaning or like one kind of symbolism, he kind of pulled from everywhere, which is how he did everything that he did, was kind of a hodgepodge of a bunch of different things. He renamed several of the cards and rearranged the numerical, astrological, and Hebrew correspondences to several of the cards. So he kind of like was like, whatever, Golden Dawn. So he like was in the Golden Dawn, but then was like, I don't want to be part of this anymore, and so he made up his own stuff.
That tracks for
Crowley.
man.
Yeah. So here are a couple of things that he changed. In the Waite-Smith deck, the first card is the Magician. In the Thoth deck, it is the Magus. Strength is changed to Lust. The Wheel of Fortune is just Fortune. Justice is Adjustment. Temperance is Art. Judgment is the Aeon. And the World is the Universe. So those are some things that he changed. He also has the Knight, instead of King, Queen, Prince, Princess, he has Knight, Queen, Prince, and Princess. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the decks that we have, and then we'll talk about some basic interpretations. So I'll do mine first, because Chris is looking up artists, I think. So I have, like I said, the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. I got this, I believe, at Barnes & Noble. It comes in a lovely box set. It has a big guidebook that I don't have in here, but it also comes with a little tiny guidebook in the thing with you. Itty bitty. And that's nice for if you're like me and you don't keep your book with your deck. I also have a deck behind me that I wasn't going to advertise, and I'm barely going to say anything about it. I have the Good Omens Tarot deck. I don't recommend buying it. Money goes to Neil Gaiman. But I'm going to mention it because there's an artist on Etsy whose name I don't know, but if you go on Etsy and you look up Good Omens Tarot or Oracle, there is an Etsy maker who is making their own version of it. And so that one just goes to that creator, which I think is great. And then lastly, I have this one, which is called the Alleyman Tarot. And you can hear a noise. And it's because it came with a coin. So if you just need a yes or no, it's got a heads or tails coin in there. And I just keep it in there because otherwise I'll lose it. This was one that I backed on Kickstarter. It is... I can't remember the name of the company. Aha! Publishing Goblin is the name. And I can't credit an artist because there are over 100. This is not a standard tarot deck. This tarot deck has extra of many cards. It has duplicates. It has its own... it has a fifth suit. So it has wands, swords, cups, and coins. And then it has the weird suit is what it is called. And it is its own separate thing. This is the meanest tarot deck you will ever encounter.
It's so mean.
It's very direct and very forward. It will answer your questions, and you will be upset afterwards.
It is out to hurt your feelings.
I did a tarot reading for a ghost at the ranch one time on accident. It's very fun. I really like it. It's got some really fun cards.
Deck.
Okay, well, the first one, of course, was one of the horrifying looking cards.
Yeah.
Because some of them are very like dark. The Fool in this, which we all know is my favorite card, is just a rubber ducky.
Isn't there one with a corgi butt that you like a lot?
That's the Knight of Swords.
Yeah, it's a good one.
He's a corgi with a sword in his mouth. I just need one of the cute ones. Everyone I keep flipping to is like one of the scary ones.
Yeah, because that deck knows what it wants.
It's like, no. Okay, here's a pretty one. And
the
there's
deck
a
is
lot
like
of,
boogie oogie oogie.
There's a lot of like gold foiled or like foiled ones. Like this is a purple foil, and it's the Star.
It's like, no, I have to be scary. I'm
Right.
going to show you that I'm scary.
It's just a pretty card. And so the one thing is all the backs are different on this, which when I bought it, everybody who was backing it was like, I'm going to know what the cards are. And I was like, there are over 100 cards in this deck. You're not going to memorize what the backs look like. So that's this one. It's called the Alleyman's Tarot. You can still get it. I backed this a long time ago. So it's now available for purchase. I don't think you get every single card that I have because several of them were boosters that were only included as like a thank you for backing at a certain level. But it's a very good book. It comes with a full, like spiral bound, full color guidebook. and it's very fun. And it basically the like mythos behind it is anytime this character of the Alley Man would do a tarot reading or get a tarot reading, he would trade a single card with the person to the point where he has a completely unique tarot deck where none of them are from the same deck anymore, which I think is a very neat concept. And I like it, and it's mean.
While Chris is finishing up doing what he's doing, I will mention a lot of tarot people or like practitioners will tell you can't buy your own decks. You should have somebody give you a deck. I really liked Dana's sentiment on that of like, yes, a deck that may be given to you is important and maybe have a different, it may operate with you a little bit differently.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with buying your own deck, especially if a deck is really speaking to you in some
Right.
way. Like there's no hard and fast rule that says a deck will not cooperate with you or work for you because it was not given to you with intention.
Right.
Like we talk about a lot, intention is everything behind a lot of things. Like some people
Yeah.
practice tarot still to this day with just a regular playing card
Yeah,
deck.
you can do it with just regular
So,
playing
like-
cards.
That's what I used to do in high school.
So it's
Yeah,
like
I also
tarot pulling has nothing to do with the cards themselves and
It's an
everything to
intention-
do with
it's an
the
intention setting exercise.
and everything to do with the intention of the person.
And like I
Pulling
bought this
and
for
receiving.
myself. I bought myself the Alleyman's Tarot, and it is the best tarot deck that I have read with. Like I've read with the Rider-Waite Smith deck. I have read with the Good Omens deck. And I've read with, my mom has, I think hers is the Golden Tarot, and then she has another one that she's read, that she reads with. And this is the one that I read the best with. And it's one that I bought for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So
Technically,
really,
the other two that I own were gifts because my mom bought them.
but I mean that I
Yeah.
just for
It is-
people
it is a good point.
For
I
people
forgot to bring that up.
For people that may want to get into tarot, it's
Yeah.
not,
Feel free to buy yourself a deck.
and especially if you're like at an occult store or even just a bookstore and there's something that's
Yeah.
really speaking to you, like it's like, man, this really, like I keep getting drawn back
Yeah.
to this. It may be telling you something. So like
Right.
don't
Yeah.
don't take that feeling for naught.
What do you have?
Sorry, buddy.
You're good.
So no, you're fine. So the first deck that I bought was the Hermetic Tarot,
Right.
which is based off of the esoteric writings of the Golden Dawn.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to show off like our 3 cards.
Yeah.
To show off some of the interesting details. So here's the Queen of Pentacles. Let's see if it'll focus. Maybe.
If not, we can take a picture and I can
Yeah.
put it on the screen.
We'll take some pictures of the cards. So up in the corners of the major arcana, or I'm sorry, not the major arcana, the like
Minor.
your face cards.
Yeah.
Like the Queen of Pentacles, it has, I think this is water and earth. The symbols up in the corners. It has.
Which is hilarious since I'm an earth sign.
It's pretty funny.
But that's what it's like. Water and earth are part of the signs that like work well with that card, and
Yeah.
it's my card, and I'm an earth sign.
It's got like the symbol of Mercury on there. I think that's Mercury.
Oh yeah, it's gonna have the alchemical stuff because it's a hermetic
Yeah.
deck.
So it's
Yeah.
got alchemical stuff. It's got they all have a like a descriptor at the bottom. So like the foolish man, and it's the spirit of ether. And like the 3 of Cups is Lord of Abundance. And so like
This one says Queen of the Thrones of Earth.
Look at you.
and so like the 3 of Cups has like bits of Hebrew.
Yeah.
And so it's a completely black and white deck,
Yeah.
and it is brutal.
It's hard.
And every review that I've seen other people write of this deck is they all go, "Fuck, man,
it's hurtful.
ouch, it hurt my feelings."
It's hurtful.
And everybody goes, "This is not a beginner deck."
No.
It's
It's a
mean.
meanie deck.
This is the Alleyman Tarot is also not a beginner deck.
It's
for,
a meanie deck too.
for
let me
reasons
tell
of
you.
it has extra cards, which makes it more complicated to read because it's like, oh, I pulled a death card. Which one?
Which one?
Because
Yeah.
there's 9 death cards.
Damn.
But they each have a slightly different interpretation of the concept of death and in the tarot. And so it's like, don't get that if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
At least a little bit.
And
If you
so
haven't played around with other decks yet.
My
What's your second one?
second deck is one that I it's a dupe of a actual better deck.
Right.
The territorial.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I don't have the money
Yeah, to get the
to
actual
purchase
territorial.
the real actual territorial. And so this one, it came with a book. The Hermetic Tarot also came with a book, but I lost it.
Oof.
I also lost my Hermetic Tarot for like a year and a half.
Oh, dang.
Like,
But you have it back.
yeah. So whenever I moved from Colorado back home, in that move, I lost it. And I didn't find it until
This move?
this past move.
Well, I'm glad you found it.
And so the images on this deck are it's the Rider Waite Smith deck. But it has all of your descriptions
On the card.
On the card. In the upright position, you can read
The upright.
what the card means upright. In the reverse position, you can read what it means reversed. And so, like, on the sides, it gives you the name of the card, the alchemical, like,
associations.
association, so water. And it has so much information. And then
Right there on the card.
Right there on the card. You don't have to look anywhere else. Another thing that I really like about it is that it has yes, no, and maybe on every card.
Yeah.
Because there are some interpretations of, like, certain cards mean yes, certain cards mean no, certain cards mean maybe, and or like all of the evens are yes, all of the odds are no. And so this just tells you right on the deck, which it's a very nice learning tool, and it means I don't have to flip through a book.
Right.
And it also allows the person that you're reading to read themselves if they want.
Right.
You are there as a tool to help them. This one came with its own little bag,
Cute.
Nice.
which is really cute. My Hermetic Tarot did not, and so this is an old, like, bedding came in this.
Nice.
Hey, but it works.
It works. It keeps all my cards together.
Mine just live in their boxes.
Yeah, boxes just don't work for me very well.
No, you're right. I
beat up
have
a
the
box.
distinct benefit. Where did I put the Rider Waite deck?
Up your butt.
Where did I put it? I lost the deck. It's gone forever.
It's up your butt.
Found it. Because these live on the shelf behind me, and like before I moved them into this room, they were on a shelf in my bedroom. Like they can comfortably stay in their little boxes because they live on a shelf as a display piece. All right.
A lot of the tarot boxes are just as pretty as the cards.
They're gorgeous.
Right, like this one again. We're gonna talk about the Alleyman tarot we get. This is not an ad. It's it looks like a matchbox, right? So it's like this is just like the thing that you would keep it in, and it's called Alley Strikers Long Stick Matches, is the like thing, and then it's like I taped on this is my tarot deck box. There's a lot of lore behind this deck. The coin makes a really good noise inside. Anyway, so like the boxes are just as pretty, if not prettier, than the deck sometimes.
But I think like we talked about it in the side quest episode. The deck that Harrison got red with is like an Egyptian Art Nouveau deck, and the art on that deck is gorgeous. A lot of the decks, I'm just like, I just want to collect you for display
just to
because you're
have
so pretty.
to look at because they're so pretty.
Like the people that do the art on tarot cards put so much time and effort into that art and into the meaning behind the art that's on the card, that like even if you're buying a mass printed version, the original art, whoever the original artist is, still took a lot of time and effort to design, whether there's one artist or multiple artists involved in a deck, to make sure that, because what's on the card is just as important as what the card is saying that it is.
Right, because if the symbolism on the card doesn't match what that card is supposed to mean, that's going to cause a bit of dissonance when you're trying to do a reading.
Which I
And
think
so-
leads really well into your point about the change in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck.
Which it's not even necessarily like a change. Like they didn't do anything to it to change it. It is more of the quality of the printing and the quality of the images that were used to print the more modern cards. I'm going to look for a specific card to make this point.
If it's the one I'm thinking of, it
It's
should be
strength.
strength.
It didn't change the meaning, right? Because the meaning of the card is in the book. But when you look at it, it changes what the image of that card is. And specifically with strength, where are you, my child? It really changes what the card is showing you. Because the strength card is about just that. It's about strength. It's about overcoming obstacles. It's about being strong in hard situations. It's going to be the very last fucking card that I touch. There's my boy. Goodness gracious. Where are you?
My boy.
My boy. There it is. So, strength shows a woman. The original art shows a woman with a lion that has a wreath of flowers going from the woman's waist around the lion's neck. So they're connected by this very fragile, very beautiful, very temporary bond, right?
Kind of figure eight.
Kind of a figure eight between them. In the current art of it, which, again, if we can't get it to show, I'll post a picture of it. The wreath around the lion is missing. It becomes part of its mane and is colored in the mane. And you can still see the flowers. Like, I can still see the outlines of the flowers. So instead, it looks like a woman fighting with this lion. Whereas it should be showing a connection between her and this beast. It is instead showing a conflict between her and this beast.
Like, it should be like her, the lion trusting her enough to look in his mouth and like hold him, like
Right.
hold his mouth and
Hold
head.
his mouth open, and they're wrapped in this like symbol of peace and that kind of thing. And it's, she's managed to tame this lion through peace, not through grabbing its head. And now it looks like she's just grabbing his head, and that's what makes her strong. And that kind of changes how a lot of people interpret the card. Because it's like, it's this like kind of strength and not a gentle strength, which is what I think that card is trying to represent. So now that we're talking about some interpretations, let's talk about interpretations. So we've thrown the word arcana around a little bit, and there are two kind of sections of a tarot deck. There's the major arcana, which are going to be those trump cards from the original deck. Those are cards that have a name and a specific symbol. And then there is the minor arcana, which is the 4 different suits that each have 14 cards. They're going to have an ace through 10, and then the page, knight, queen, and king. Or something else, depending on what your tarot deck is. They may change the names of stuff. So traditionally, I'm going to name all 22 of the major arcana. I'm not going to name all of the other ones because I just told you what they are. It's ace through 10, page, knight, queen, king of cups, wands, pentacles, and swords, usually. Sometimes they'll change them. So your major arcana...
And coins.
And coins. No, pentacles. Pentacles is coins.
Yeah,
It's either or. It's pentacles or coins. And wands or batons or sticks or... they all have different versions of what they are. So the major arcana, the way that I like to look at it, the way that a lot of people like to look at it, they're numbered 1 through 21, and then the Fool is numbered 0 or has no number at all. And a lot of people look at it as the Fool is going on a journey through the rest of the major arcana to this like enlightened place at the end. Because the Fool represents, we've talked about this a lot, it's not an idiot. It represents like innocence and naivete. Like the actual original Fool art is a youth about to step off of a cliff. Like it's a leap of faith. It's going into the next thing without knowing all of the answers. And so he goes through this journey and he gets all of the answers. And the journey that he goes through, I'm just going to rattle these off. We'll talk about some of them. I'm not going to tell you the meaning of every single card. I want you to go learn about this. I'm more going to tell you kind of general meanings of concepts than each individual card. So it's the Fool, the Magician, the High Priestess, the Empress, the Emperor, the Hierophant, the Lovers, the Chariot, Strength, the Hermit, Wheel of Fortune, Justice, the Hanged Man, Death, Temperance, the Devil, the Tower, the Star, the Moon, the Sun, Judgment, and lastly, the World. So the World is that like higher knowledge kind of card when you get it. We're going to talk specifically about death a little bit because a lot of people think that it's like the end of the world if you get the death card in a tarot reading. And actually, I would be more upset at getting the Tower than I would about getting death. Like death is just a transition or a change, or like don't think of death as an ending, think of death as a new beginning, right? Like that's what it usually symbolizes when you get it in a reading. The Tower is usually like destruction,
something
bad, like it's a
bad
big,
shit's
it's a
about
big
to
bad
happen.
thing is about to happen. And the Devil also isn't like the devil. It's more of a like there is an external person manipulating something going on in your life.
There's an antagonist.
There is an antagonist, and it is negative. Like it's not usually like, oh, somebody's manipulating you for good. It's like, no, somebody is out there like fucking with what's going on, but it's not the devil himself.
What?
So like that's like the journey that the Fool goes on. We're not going to go super duper into detail because again, I want you to go and learn new things. But we are going to talk about the suits kind of in a little bit more detail because most people are like obsessed with the major arcana because they're like, ooh, they're like characters.
They're the special
They're
ones.
special. They don't have a number. They've got a name. But I think that the minor arcana is more interesting to me because it deals more with like people and like humanity and like it's more easy to understand. Like you look at the card and you're like, oh, that's what's going on in this picture. So each suit kind of has a thing that it's associated with, and then each card has its own thing that it deals with. But we're going to talk about the associations with each suit, and then we'll talk about kind of what each number individually can represent, and then we'll read our cards that we got. So cups is each one of the 4 suits is associated with one of the 4 alchemical elements: water, earth, fire, and air. So cups, of course, is associated with the element of water, which becomes frequently a visual element in them. There's lots of water in the cups suit. The cups also rules over all that is associated with emotions, the unconscious, creativity, intuition, which if you know anything about like, if you think about star signs, like water signs are usually like super emotional. I am one, so I can say this. And that kind of stuff. These cards frequently talk about relationships of all kinds. That can be romantic, otherwise relationships with oneself, relationships with one's surroundings. And they talk a lot about your imagination and your inner world. So that if you get a cups card, it's going to be a lot about your interactions with other people and with yourself. At their worst, the cups are fraught with uncontrolled feelings, fantasy, and disconnect with one's inner self. So those are like when you get a bad cups card, you're like, I'll pay more attention to my inner child. Pentacles is the earth element. So, of course, Mackenzie has a pentacles as her thing because she is an earth sign. It's the suit of like worldly and material things, which if you think of it as like coins instead of pentacles, that makes a lot of sense. A lot of people will think of it as relating to financial matters. It can also be associated with like security, stability, nature, health, prosperity, because it's earth. It's not just material. It's like the real physical stuff is what these are kind of dealing with. A lot of times when they show up, they're talking about your career, generosity, your household, that kind of stuff. And then the negative side often shows up with like greed, jealousy, in addition to greed, miserliness, like not wanting to pay for things, not wanting to give out money, and also like ambition, but in a negative way, are the like negative sides of the pentacles. Swads, or swords, for those of you who don't speak Sarah, are...
I was like, I know exactly what you just said.
That's the they're associated with fire because that's going to be like your fighty one. They're the swords. They're for fighty. So swords are the suit of intelligence, logic, truth, ambition, conflict, and communication. Because a lot of people are like communication, and it's like, yeah, how do you resolve a conflict? Communicating. They often focus on power of intellect. So these cards focus on the power of intellect, which, like swords, can be a double-edged situation. They can be used for good or evil, to help or to harm, and our greatest conflicts usually come from this delicate balance in this intellectual power. At their worst, they can be abusive, harsh, and lack empathy. Again, like this symbol is a weapon, not a tool. Like it's not an axe, it's a sword.
Yeah.
It's designed to harm. But when wielded properly, it can be a tool of peace. So then wands, lastly, are associated with air. I'm an idiot, actually. Swords are air, wands are fire. I can't read.
Oh.
I was
made
like,
sense.
It does make sense. They're often flippy-floppied. They can be either. Swords are associated with the element of air. Wands are associated with the element of fire and represent passion, inspiration, and willpower, which makes more sense with fire. They imbue their users with energy, and it is through them that the cycle of creation can begin. Because of their ability to bring energy, they are also associated with action, ambition, making plans. At their worst, they can refer to situations that are filled with recklessness and lack of direction. You'll come across these themes a lot with wands. So then, super briefly, the cards, the numbered cards, so ace through 10, also each follow an individual journey usually. Going, I'm stealing this directly from Dana, from her interpretation. So the ace is usually a like disembodied symbol of that thing floating kind of in the sky. And then the 10 of the card is the most rooted and grounded in reality. So we can think of the journey from the ace to the 10 as going from the heavens to humanity. And you're going on a journey through those cards. And usually it tells a whole story, and the 9th card is like really bad, and then the 10th is kind of a resolution. And then you have your face cards as individual symbols of your concepts. So the closer to 10 we get in these suits, the closer we're getting to being grounded to the reality of the situation, that kind of thing. And you can think of the numbers are important. Numerology is very important. 1 is a wholeness. It is a solitary thing. It is by itself, but it is complete because it is 1. Pairs are incredibly important, right? You have 2 of a thing. You're starting to have a balance. You can see a light and a dark side of things. With 3, we get a shape, a really sturdy shape. A triangle is a very good shape. It's also incredibly important in most esoteric things like triangles and pyramids and all that kind of stuff. And then 4 is a square. It's 2 2s. You've got 2 sides. It's even. This symbology is usually going to have like 2 of the symbol on one side, 2 of the symbol on the other side, or 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom. It's going to be very symmetrical. And then 5 is where shit starts to go wrong. Usually in most suits, 5 to 10 are where you're like, I don't want that one on the table.
Can you put it back?
Because that's where stuff starts to get crazy. You've got people carrying too many things. Instability. You've got people looking at things and not being able to see the things behind them. The imagery usually gets more crowded at this point. It's more pressing. And then you continue to follow down from there. And then again, the 10th is that resolution. And it usually is the most like people-y of the cards, or just the most like truly grounded in reality concept. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
Great. Hopefully it makes sense to you guys. Now we're going to talk about the 3 cards that we pulled. And I'm actually going to use the guidebook because I haven't gotten these cards in a hot minute. So we're going to go through this together.
Excellent.
And we're going to do it like we're babies and we don't know what we're doing, which is probably fuck. We're
I'm
gonna
a
spill,
baby.
The cards
we're gonna
went
spill all of our cards into our lap. So we got. I'll also say this, which I didn't say earlier. There are people who choose to not read the reverse meaning as a different meaning. They're like, the card only ever means what it means right side up. I don't do that. Upside down is upside down. So we got the Hermit, which is, where are you?
It was the Hermit reversed, wasn't
Hermit
it?
reversed.
And the Hierophant reversed, right?
No, we got the Hermit reversed, the King of Pentacles reversed, and the Four of Wands.
I don't know where I got the Hierophant.
Hermie, there you are. So the Hermit is number 9 in the Major Arcana. And upside down, he represents concealment, disguise, policy, fear, or unreasoned caution. Okay? We're not going to take anything of that. We're going to do all 3 cards and then think of what they could mean together. I don't like to do a past, present, future because why do I care about what happened already? Like, I want to see what this all means together as one thing.
Mm-hmm.
So then we have the King of Pentacles, Wands, Cups, Pentacles. The King of Pentacles. We're going to talk about what it means right side up, and then talk about how upside down is kind of the opposite of that, because this one has a lot more information for the right side up. This figure calls for no special description. The face is rather dark, suggesting also courage, but somewhat lethargic in tendency. The bull's head, so it's got... God, this is one of the ones that like turned out real ugly when they reprinted it. So he's sitting on a throne, and his throne has 4 bull's heads on it, and there's a castle in the background, and he's got armor on his legs and a chainmail coif. But the rest of him is just in beautiful robes. So the bull's head should be noted as a recurrent symbol on his throne. The sign of this suit is represented throughout as engraved or emblazoned with a pentagram, typifying the correspondence of the 4 elements in human nature, and that by which they may be governed. So right side up, he represents valor, realizing intelligence, business, and normal intellectual aptitude, sometimes mathematical gifts attained of this kind, success in these paths. Upside down, he represents corruption, peril, weakness, ugliness, which is fair because this is an ugly-looking card. So right now, we've got the Hermit, which is concealment, disguise, and then we've got... Where'd he go? There he is. Like corruption. So we've got some weird shit going on.
So disguise, but was that the upright or was that the reverse
of the Hermit?
Is disguise?
Yeah, concealment, disguise, fear, and unreasoned caution.
Fascinating.
Yeah. We're also going to look at another website because this guidebook is not the best. This is what you get with the tiny guidebook. Is like a sentence. Again, it's this big. I have a website that I like that I'm going to pull up the additional interpretations of this.
Excellent.
So then we have, what did I say, the 4 of Wands?
Yes.
Wands.
Upright.
Upright. Thank God, a right side up card.
And that one's a really pretty card.
It is. I love this one because they're like getting ready for a party.
Yeah.
They're like getting ready for a party. There's like an arch. The 4 wands have like a garland between them. There's a castle. There's people in the background getting ready. They're dancing. They've got like bouquets. They're having a good time in this card, which is why it's interesting that we got it with these 2 very negative feeling cards.
Yeah.
So a posse of youths are... Nope, wrong one. From the 4 great staves planted in the foreground, there is a great garland suspended. 2 female figures uplift bouquets, and at their side is a bridge over a moat leading to an old manorial house. They are, for once almost on the surface, country, life, repose, concord, harmony, prosperity, peace, and the perfected work of these. So this is like, you're doing it.
Yeah.
You're doing it, sweetie. So let me pull up. So I like using Labyrinthos for tarot card meetings if you're like, I don't know. It's a blog. And
especially if you're on the go.
If you're on the go, you can pull it up. It's got every single card meaning. It goes into depth about every single one. It has like a super basic one, and then you can click on the card, and it will give you like a in-depth thing. And it's also got like, if you don't have the time to read, it's got keywords, which is what all this has, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this, we've got reversed for the Hermit, loneliness, isolation, returning to society, yada yada. And then there's a button underneath that says skip to reverse meaning. Click. And here we have, there it is. I was like, that's not the right thing. Why is this so small? I'm so blind. Thank you. When reversed, you are perhaps in a situation where you'd like to be alone. There is nothing wrong about that. However, there is a possibility that your seclusion may become harmful to both yourself and others. Though I know what this is about. This is about us locking ourselves in a room for 48 hours. Though the hermit sets forward with noble intentions to search for his inner truth, his path inward may also be filled with great danger. Going inward may also lead to madness and the abyss for the unconscious. Guys, this is literally about us locking ourselves in a room for 48 hours and doing weird shit in this room for 48 hours.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tarot deck. Okay, let's pull up the King of Pentacles.
Reversed. that one's reversed.
Also reversed, yeah. Ooh, I really like the picture that this one has for their
On the
King of
website?
Pentacles. Yeah, he's got little antlers.
Ooh.
He's very cute. Reversed. So this one is poor financial decisions and greed are the like reversed keywords. But then we've got, when reversed, the king falls from his throne. Once the king of a prosperous kingdom, it has been taken away from him or lost, disconnected from the energy of his suit. He may have been impatient. He may have been too indulgent. He may have gambled too far and overstretched himself. He may have sought shortcuts that led him to ruin. He may have become too focused on the material and only understanding the cost of things and never their value. It also may signify that your definition of success is only determined by outer appearances and not by the true value that security and stability can bring you. It is a time for you to cultivate a more holistic attitude to the material world to find authentic happiness. In terms of love, this card can mean that someone dear to you is currently facing issues due to matters concerning his or her career. I love it when the cards read Chris for filth.
I mean, it could also be me.
It could also be you. Yeah, like, I mean, literally, I'm unemployed. Chris is trying to find a new job. Mackenzie doesn't like her job. Like, this is fine. And then let's pull up what this one has for the wands, because I bet you it's going to be a little bit nicer. Suit of Wands. Is this the one that's not in order for some reason? It is the one that's not in order for some reason. 4 and 7 are next to each other. Oh. So then the upright keywords for the 4 of Wands: community, home, celebration, reunions, parties, gatherings, stability, and belonging. Wow, this really read all 3 of us for Phil. I had no intention when I was shuffling these. I was just like, tee-hee-hee, doing a tarot reading. The overall meaning of the 4 of Wands is that it heralds celebration as well as a harmonious, happy, and relaxed home environment. In terms of numerology, the number 4 symbolizes stability as well as particularly reliable foundations. These are associated with a period of happiness and balance. The symbolism within the 4 of Wands poses that this is the perfect time for you to get together with close people such as friends and family, but be careful to not lose your minds about it. This could be with or without any special occasion. Oftentimes, this card is known to reflect a period of holidays when you are together with your friends and family for an extended period of time. It might also be suggesting for you to invite your closest friends for a great and intimate dinner and share a laugh or two. This is really funny.
This is that's
you know what's
fucking
very
hilarious.
funny
Do you know what's funnier about the fact that you pulled the 4
It
and
was
not the
like-
3?
There's 4 of us.
There's 4
There's
of us
4 of us
house.
here. Harrison is in this house.
And Harrison, as much as we tease him about not being included, is a
Yeah.
very key point
So-
of like being here.
So our
Yeah.
reading,
weekends.
our reading is, you're secluding yourselves. Don't go fucking insane.
Don't go crazy.
Don't go too far off the deep end.
This is just Mike. Mike threw cards out at you.
Maybe this is for Mike.
Mike needs a new job.
There's some financial struggle. Maybe we need a new job. Maybe we're looking at things the wrong way about monetizing, or not even monetizing this. Like maybe we're looking at things the wrong way with what success is, right? Maybe we're focusing on the wrong things, that kind of thing. And then have fun with your friends.
Yeah.
Have fun with your friends.
Have fun with your
Have fun with your
friends.
friends this weekend. That was our tarot reading. It was a little chaotic, as they always are when I do them.
Yeah. They're always something.
But I mean, this because we're all in the same
And
room, it's reading for all of us.
It's reading for all of us, and it's one of those things that it's like, now, do those cards necessarily 100% make sense with what's going on right now? No. Can we easily draw connections?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what this is for. It's not to be exactly right. It's not to be exactly right. It's for you to interpret what that means for your life.
Sit and
right
reflect.
now. I put the book in the wrong side, and the box is now not going to close. So, what'd you learn?
I learned a lot about how like I really enjoyed learning about like all of the different like instances of tarot developing
Yeah.
and like the like regionality
Yeah.
differences
Yeah.
I thought that was really neat.
Yay.
I really enjoyed the history of tarot as a whole. I enjoyed getting to hear more about other decks. You know, I only know bits and pieces.
Right.
And so it's nice to be able to see those things see the different meanings behind them and why.
Right.
Why so often, if you were to professionally go get your tarot pulled, they may be pulling from 3 or 4 different decks depending on what it is that you're looking for.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it's I think it's interesting to see how things can be interpreted and when you're depending on the expectations you have going in. You know,
Right.
You're going into a reading thinking about a specific issue, you're most likely going to draw conclusions from that specific issue at hand.
Right.
But even if you go in with no expectation,
Like what just
like
happened.
what just happened, or both yours and Christopher's birthday readings that we did last year, you guys went in with no expectations as far as what that was going to look like, and then Chris came out read to high heaven, just
Read to
trash.
high heaven,
just
and then everything happened.
Everything happened.
And I remember we haven't talked a lot about that specific reading on this, and we probably won't ever
because it's personal.
because it's very personal. But when that tarot reading was done, to each other we said, "Man, it'll be interesting to see in the time frame that she gave what happens."
She gave a 6-month time
She gave a
frame.
specific timeline and it all happened.
It all happened.
I know.
It all happened within 5 months.
Yeah. It's just very interesting to see
And I
Oh,
think
damn.
Sarah in her birthday had a card show up. I think it was the devil, wasn't it? And Sarah talked about that card being more of an antagonist card, and the
it
lady
came out and the lady went, "We're going to put that to the side." And I went, "I know who that is."
Yeah. And then the other thing that's interesting is we have assigned ourselves tarot cards in this. And when Chris and I got our tarot read at the seance event, all of our cards, the other 2 persons' cards, so for Chris, Sarah and I's cards, and for me, Chris and Sarah's cards, both showed up in our readings, even though we weren't all 3 together, and we weren't getting those readings done with the expectation of anything to do with our friendship.
We had no purpose.
No purpose to those readings. They were not done by people that we knew.
I got a tarot reading done more recently. We'll talk about it more when we do the Thanksgiving episode. In that tarot reading, I got one of y'all's cards.
I think it was.
I don't remember which one it was.
I think it was Chris.
yours, which would have made more sense for that situation anyway.
It was funny because we made a joke when we talk about that later on. We had made jokes about, watch, it's going to happen.
I did stand up from that reading and I went, if I get one more fucking tarot reading that tells me to do shit with this podcast, I'm going to burn it all down.
Yeah.
So I loved kind of getting to dive deeper into why, especially as we get more into things that give us the opportunity to have those experiences, like getting a better understanding. You did an amazing job.
Thanks. Mm-hmm. I think that's everything that you need to know about tarot, at least for now. We might do more with this. We might do some tarot reading specials where we just fuck around with different tarot decks and see what happens. Maybe we try and do a tarot reading for Mike. Maybe we try and do that kind of thing.
We might talk about oracle decks, which are a different
yeah,
part
we'll
of this
probably
later
talk
on.
about oracle decks. I don't think that they'll have as big of an episode, so they may be when we do a tarot reading thing, we'll also talk about oracle decks. Because I have an oracle deck, Mackenzie has an oracle deck. Do you have an oracle deck?
Nope.
So we have 2.
Well, and my oracle deck is very different from Sarah's oracle
yeah,
deck.
my oracle deck is Egyptian.
And mine is
the Egyptian Book of the Dead, and Mackenzie's is fairies. Because that's the thing with oracle decks is they can be whatever you want. Anyway, I think that's everything you need to know about tarot for at least the now.
Yeah.
We will see you next week for something for sure.